Brooke stunned to learn Taylor faked fatal illness to win Ridge back. Please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up before the video starts. The bold and the beautiful spoilers indicate that Taylor Hayes recently dropped a bomb on Ly Finnegan before swearing her to secrecy. Taylor claims to have heart failure and that she is dying. However, Taylor never gave her doctor the opportunity to offer her any type of treatment. Taylor is now asking Lee for recommendations. Is Taylor faking her heart failure to win Ridge back? The bold and the beautiful spoilers suggest that Taylor wants Brooke Logan, Catherine Kelly Lang, to believe that she accepts her and Ridge Forrester relationship. However, Taylor is with Ridge every chance she gets. Taylor is constantly talking about being a member of the Forrester family and how it feels like home. Taylor is even agreeing to try to be friends with Brooke this time, as long as Brooke controls Hope Logan, Annika Noel. However, Taylor may be trying to get Brooke to let her guard down so she can move in on Ridge right under Brooke's not-so-watchful eyes. Brooke feels secure in her relationship, but look how Ridge acts around her. Taylor claims she doesn't want her children to know about her condition. However, Taylor even cries when she is on her own, perhaps out of guilt. Taylor could very well be working Ridge as she tries to protect her children from her story just in case she is lying. Of course, Taylor has a lot of time to come up with a fake cure or some other story. All the while, Taylor is growing closer and closer to Ridge and pulling him away from Brooke at the same time. Fans wouldn't expect this out of Taylor because no one believes she would stoop this low. However, Taylor was questioning how it is that Ridge was in Monaco with Brooke too, as if she thought he would be there alone. Fans will remember that Sally Spectra, Courtney Hope, did this same thing when she realized she was about to lose Wyatt Spencer, Darren Brooks. Spoilers suggest that surprises regarding Taylor are about to come up this fall. Will the truth come out about Taylor's so-called illness, or will Taylor's fraud be exposed? What do you think? Is Taylor faking heart failure to steal Ridge away from Brooke? Could Ridge decide to marry Taylor to make her last days as happy as he can? Keep checking back to see where this story and other go as we wait for answers. In the world of the bold and the beautiful, secrets are currency, and manipulation is second nature. But nothing could have prepared Brooke Logan for the bombshell she was about to face. The world of Forrester Creations had always been a hotbed of drama, with its tangled love triangles, family feuds, and rivalries. But this was different. This betrayal cut deeper than anything she'd experienced before. For months, Brooke and Taylor Hayes had been in an uneasy truce. After years of fighting over Ridge Forrester, the man they both loved, they had seemingly come to an understanding. Ridge had walked away from both women, claiming he needed time to rediscover himself and make peace with his heart. It was a painful decision for all parties involved, but one that allowed Brooke and Taylor to finally breathe and reevaluate their lives. Brooke had thrown herself into her work, focusing on her family, her career, and, surprisingly, herself. She hadn't realized how much of her identity had been tied up in Ridge until he was gone. Now she was beginning to reclaim the pieces of her life that didn't revolve around him. Taylor, on the other hand, had taken a different approach. Ever the problem solver, Taylor turned inward, engaging in what appeared to be deep self-reflection. She had even gone as far as to seek counseling from colleagues in her field, attempting to heal the emotional scars left by her tumultuous love life. It seemed as though both women were finally ready to move on. Or so Brooke thought. Just as Brooke was beginning to find her equilibrium, news broke that Taylor had fallen gravely ill. It spread like wildfire through Los Angeles. Taylor Hayes, world-renowned psychiatrist, mother, and Ridge's first love, was reportedly battling a terminal illness. The specifics were vague, but the prognosis was grim. Word came through the Forresters. Taylor's condition was deteriorating fast. Ridge, naturally, was devastated. Despite the distance between them, his love for Taylor never truly faded. Brooke, ever the pragmatist, had her suspicions about the timing of Taylor's illness, but chose not to vocalize them. After all, who would fabricate something so heart-wrenching? The mere idea seemed too cruel, even for Taylor. The announcement of Taylor's illness quickly became the catalyst that reignited Ridge's affection for her. Within weeks, he was by her side more often than not, offering comfort and support. Old memories flooded back for both of them. It wasn't long before whispers of a possible reconciliation began to swirl around Forrester Creations. Brooke, still recovering from her own heartache, found herself standing on the sidelines once again, helpless to intervene. Part of her wanted to reach out to Ridge, but she also knew that Taylor's condition put her in an impossible position. How could she compete with someone who might not have much time left? Everything came crashing down one fateful afternoon when Brooke received an anonymous message, one that would turn her world upside down. The text was cryptic, but clear enough. Taylor's illness isn't real. She's lying to get Ridge back. Brooke sat frozen in her office, staring at her phone, her heart racing. Could it be true? She knew Taylor was desperate to rekindle her romance with Ridge, but to fabricate an illness? That was beyond anything Brooke could have ever imagined. Determined to uncover the truth, Brooke launched her own investigation. She started by discreetly contacting doctors, checking up on Taylor's medical history. To her shock, there was no record of Taylor receiving any kind of terminal diagnosis. In fact, it seemed that Taylor hadn't been to a doctor in months, let alone undergone any serious medical treatment. Brooke's next step was confronting Steffi and Thomas, Taylor's children, both of whom had been steadfast in their support of their mother. But even they seemed uneasy when Brooke brought up Taylor's illness. Their answers were vague, and they danced around specifics, insisting that their mother's condition was private. It became clear to Brooke that they either didn't know the full story or were too afraid to admit the truth. The final piece of the puzzle came when Brooke received a call from an old colleague of Taylor's, someone from her days working as a psychiatrist. The colleague, who wished to remain anonymous, confirmed Brooke's worst fears. Taylor had confided in them weeks ago about concocting a plan to fake her illness, knowing that it would bring Ridge back into her life. The colleague hadn't thought Taylor would go through with it, but clearly they had underestimated her desperation. Armed with this new information, Brooke decided it was time for the truth to come out. She arranged a meeting at the Forrester mansion, where Ridge had been spending more and more time lately, caring for Taylor during her supposed illness. The room was thick with tension as Brooke walked in, her eyes locked on Ridge, who looked weary and conflicted. "Brooke, what are you doing here?" Ridge asked, standing up from his seat beside Taylor, who was lying on the couch, pale and weak. "I'm here because I can't stay silent anymore," Brooke said, her voice steady, though her heart was pounding in her chest. "Ridge, you need to know the truth. Taylor isn't sick. She's been lying to you this whole time." A collective gasp filled the room. Ridge looked at Brooke, his face etched with confusion, before turning to Taylor. "Brooke, what are you talking about?" Taylor's voice was weak, but her eyes darted around nervously. "I know everything, Taylor," Brooke continued, stepping closer. "I know you faked your illness to get Ridge back. I've spoken to your colleagues. I've checked with the doctors. You've been lying to everyone." Taylor's face went white as the words sunk in. Ridge took a step back, as if the ground beneath him had shifted. "Taylor, is this true?" Ridge asked, his voice barely a whisper. For a moment, there was only silence. Then, with a shaky breath, Taylor looked up at Ridge, tears welling in her eyes. I did it because I love you," she said, her voice breaking. "I didn't know what else to do. You were slipping away from me, and I couldn't lose you again." Ridge stared at her, a mixture of shock and anger crossing his face. Brooke, watching the man she loved grapple with the weight of Taylor's betrayal, felt a flicker of vindication, though it was tempered by the knowledge of how deeply this would hurt him. "I can't believe you would do something like this, Taylor," Ridge said, his voice cold and distant. "I don't even know who you are anymore." As Ridge stormed out of the room, leaving a devastated Taylor behind, Brooke stood still, knowing that while she had exposed the truth, the fallout from this revelation was only just beginning.